So if I think about architecture, I will think as a kind of platform where the world is prepared for life. It's an art, architecture, but it's never an art that it's finished. It's always something that it's only finished when you are living on it. We are very focused on an idea of using just one material. We think that architecture have to be more experienced like from the life, from the interior, from the use. So we like this idea where we have this idea of monomateriality, so we are involved by the same space and not by combinations of different materials or different atmospheres. The white, it's where you can have better reflection or better perception of the spaces. So sometimes you also use the white in these terms. And this is one aspect, let's say the practical aspect of the white. And then is the cultural aspect of the white. White is the good one, white it's the pure, the honest. White, it's connected to a lot of values that we accept. So for us to tell that a building it's white, it's like to say that a car has 4 wheels. So for us, if we don't mention it's white, it's the obvious response, let's say. The building in Tours, we use on the building the same stone that is already on the previous building that we restore, but we also use it because it's the stone of the city and we wanted to have this atmosphere. We also use the stone because the stone, it's connected with this idea of being permanent, and so we wanted to have this kind of heavy walls, even if the heavy walls will float in the air. But we decided, and we wanted to have this big, clear room with this with a lot of light on the upper space of exhibition. But architecture is not connected with image, it's connected with life. And to define life, or to define a space for life, we have to define all the aspects of the material. So it's not only the image or the color, it's also the texture, the temperature, the proportion, the stereotomic aspects, all the aspects that really, the acoustic, all that they could define a space. Architecture, it's not about defining an image. It's to prepare a place for life. It's never ending, it's never finished in itself. It's always finished in the way that people use it. That's why we always try to design spaces that are not, let's say, too much connected with the function. They have to be open to different uses. But when you think about the work of an artist, it is or it's not. And I think that in a work of architecture, we have to face the same problems. It is or it's not. And it's an art, the work of an architect. But the big difference to the work of an architect to a work of a sculpture is that a sculpture, it's an art that ends the work. It's the piece, it's there. In architecture, the piece, it's almost there, because it has to be prepared to be finished. And the real art in architecture is to design things that are able to be finished in the best way. That's the art in architecture. Imagine that we can how can we design this in an aspect where you have already this material that have a certain image, a certain character that you can feel. That's not only the image, but it's also the feeling that we have about the material. But how can we amplify the use of this material with a way of using it? It's like the stone. When you use the stone, there's one thing, it's one stone. The other is when we start designing the way the stones are cut or related. And I imagine that it's almost a clear stone, a powerful clear stone in this material. I imagine that we can achieve panels with 3 meters. We can have a kind of a super stereotomy. So, and it could be really powerful. And what is fantastic here is that we have the material that we normally knew it from gray, and now we can have it in white. We can go into some new experience. I mean, for instance, we design a lot of buildings that are completely we have a mono-material vision of the building. I mean, these materials could allow us to do this kind of experience or this kind of propositions, even if we are thinking about countries like France or Switzerland or Belgium or countries of North Europe. If I look into the material, I'll be delighted to use it in posing, let's say, that dimension with maybe that dimension. I can imagine to have a floor like that or a wall like that, and a wall made of different slabs of like this, even small slabs, and I can say, okay, so I can have a kind of a much more completely detailed facade or a more heavy facade if I use the material in another way. You can use it with a lot of freedom. I don't look in this material into this material. Imagine this look only like a kind of a way of covering something. I imagine these materials as a possibility of building something. So using it for not to cover what we are doing, but looking at it as a possibility to imagine from the beginning something new, or using of these materials in a building as being a kind of way of being the material, so a kind of a construction, a kind of a module that goes and influence the general design. This material or this example, it's not. I don't look at it only as a kind of a surface, but with a kind of also a material. So I can imagine that I can be used one on the top of the other, or using this for, I don't know, maybe even imagine to do stairs where I can already have material that's very performant, have a large performance on that sense. I don't know, give me possibilities, and what I like is possibilities. But I think that architecture, in conceptual term, it's about eternity, and it's about of perfection.